It's tier 4.
Yeah!
Hello, welcome back. It's been a minute since I posted. I know I have to finish the John Deere clutch video. I haven't finished that yet. There's a lot of editing involved in that last segment. Anyhow, so that's coming, by the way. Anyhow, so here's what we're doing today. We have a SP750 concrete pump made by Schwing. So yes, all those guys of a certain age who remember that movie, go ahead and get it out of your system now. Schwing! Okay, now we're done with that. Let's get on with it. So what's happening here is this is what Schwing calls a slewing cylinder. It is the hydraulic cylinder that moves the rock valve that is moved by that cylinder. Schwing calls this a rock valve. Most other concrete pump companies call this a swing tube. It's just a thing that rocks back and forth and lets material come out of there. Anyhow, this machine has two cylinders. I don't know if you can see the one on the other side. It's a little dark in there. But there's a cylinder over there that pushes the bell crank and the rock valve this way, and there's a cylinder over on this side that does the pushing that way. This is a single acting cylinder. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for right now, we got to take this thing out. So what has to happen here is that we have to there's a grease fitting right here that has to come out. There's a pin right there that has to come out. There's a little keeper, a bolt that keeps that pin in. We have to take off this hydraulic hose, and we have a pin here similar to the pin inside that has a keeper right here, and this pin comes out. So let me get you set up. I'm going to try to put the camera inside so you can get as close to the action as you can, but it's a real tight fit. Here we go. All right, that's about as good as we're going to get. So the first thing we want to do is there's a keeper right here, a bolt, that we have to get that thing loose, and then we have to get that pin out. This is a 19 millimeter. This whole machine is metric. Oh, this was very loose. So we'll just back out this bolt, and hopefully that pin will just come out. Now, I have the machine resting in this position for a reason. I'll talk about that reason shortly. I could cycle the machine so that this cylinder is extended. I may have to do that, but we're going to try it this way first. So hopefully that thing needs a little persuasion. All right, let's try to get that pin out. It should just slide out. Should. There it goes. That was easy enough. Wow. I don't have a lot of leverage here. Oh, that's just great. This isn't a swivel fitting on this grease line. Way to go, Schwing. So now we have to take the grease line off from the other side. If this was a swivel fitting, we could just take this nut loose, this fitting loose right here, and that would be all this needs. But this is not a swivel fitting. At least I don't think. Let me give it a shot. Maybe it is. Doesn't look like it. That's going to be, what, a 15 millimeter? Let's give the 15 a try. Now you see what I'm doing? I'm turning the turning the fitting here, and the hose is just turning. So we have to go over to the other side of the machine and get it off of the other end. And we're back. So this is the grease header for this machine. This is the line we have to remove. This is the other end of that line. And it looks like I need to wipe that off. That end looks like a swivel. Yeah, that's a swivel. So we're going to take this off right here. That's smaller than a 15. Let's go 14. Well, and it's painted, of course. There it goes. And see, that's just swiveling there. The paint makes this a bit of a challenge. So we broke the torque loose, so we can just use the 15. And we're just going to back this out of here. Back off that whole hydraulic or grease hose. Make it loose. There, it's loose. All right. Stand by. All right, we got our grease line loose. That's the hose we just took off. Whoa! Timber! Watch out now. That was exciting. All right, we got our grease line loose. Get this out of the way so it doesn't hurt anybody else. There we go. All right, so we got our pin out. We got our grease line loose. Let's get this other pin off. This one is just over here. Right there. That's all I'm doing here. So I'm going to put you back here. All right, I'm just backing this out. This one's a little bit tighter than the other one. Can you see that? You guys seeing all this? I hope so. Anyway. I'm just going to back this bolt out, and hopefully, if my luck is with me, that pin will just come out. Now that little retaining washer doesn't want to move just yet. Let's see if we can encourage it a little bit. We have a pin and a hammer. We're going to give this guy a tap. Wow, that pin is not moving. Well, we're going to have to fix up the end of that a little bit. That's getting a little boogered up. Let me hit that with some persuasion juice, a little WD-40. It's right over here. Now, this is a tricky angle. There's probably a tool you can put into this end to pull that pin out, but I don't have one. Let's see if I can, just on the end of it, get a hold of it. Man, barely. That sucker is tight. Yeah, we're going to have to clean this one up on the lathe. That is no doubt about that. This is inconvenient. We have a socket and a pair of vice grips. We're just going to hold on to that thing with it. Like that. There. That's moving it. I'm not sure that's ever going to be a socket again. That's all right. It's not the end of the world. Need an even longer one on it. See what kind of luck we're going to have. Sweet. This is absolutely scientific and professional, boys and girls. Don't try this at home. I'm an expert. There we go. I think we got it loose. Now, the other thing we got to do is take this fitting off. I have a big old 1 7/8. Now this is a metric, so 1 7/8 isn't exactly the right one, but it's what we have. Here goes. Wow, that's tight. Good Lord. Wow. This is the problem with factories. They put way too much torque on these. That thing does not need to be that tight. What to do? What to do? I'm going to get a sledgehammer here in a minute. Let's try it from this angle. Yeah, this is a call to 911 just waiting to happen. This isn't going to work. Let's try it this way. I'm trying to link these two wrenches together with limited space. Yeah, this is going to go not well. Wow! Ay caramba, that was tight. Ha! Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous how tight that was. Come on. Maybe I was fighting a little corrosion too. That should be a lot easier to turn. Still stuck in there. There we go. Getting looser. I think this is just a DIN fitting. And sometimes the center of these fittings get kind of jammed in there. Get tricky to come out. There. Now, let me stick one of these plugs in here. There we go. Now, I'm going to let that drain out. I have a bucket under there. Yes, this is going to make a mess. No doubt about that. Now the question is, can I get the cylinder out without cycling the machine? I hope so. See if I can. Oh, well. I may have to move. Let me see if I can. Man, that's a lot of grease. Wow. Try to get under it. Yeah, this is good stuff. I need to get under it. Here comes my furnace. Sorry for the noise. Let me try to move that rock valve a little bit. Let's try. There, that's actually moving it, isn't it? Almost there. There. Got it out. Dirty, dirty. All right, let's get this piggy over to the bench. There goes the bar. Yeehaw. All right, here we are on the bench. I hope you got most of that. At least I think I hope you got most of that. You know, sometimes I record these things and I wonder to myself, do I really want that to be recorded? Sometimes it's just not pretty. That was not pretty. Anyhow, so the first thing we're going to do is take off this grease fitting. What did we say that was? 14, 15, 17, 28, 43. Oh, 14 doesn't seem to want to fit here. It's the paint, really. So let's just get this grease fitting off of here. Grease hose. Nice and easy. Put that over here. And let's get that fitting off of there. It's not on there terribly tightly. All right, so what we have, this is what's called the gland nut, or the head nut, I guess it's called in some places. This thing has to come off. And it has, I believe you're supposed to use a pin spanner with this. Wipe off the gunk. You know what, before I go any further, I'm going to wash this thing. So let's pause here. Hang on, stand by. All right. Well, we have the thing cleaned up a little bit. I didn't even notice these beautiful welds here. I mean, these are really something. The weird thing is they're holding. The leak isn't coming from up around the top, it's coming from underneath. So these welds are actually good. Well, they're holding, but this is, I'm not going to point the finger. My welds are sometimes pretty awful too. Anyhow, so we have this gland nut to get off. I believe Schwing calls it a head nut. But there's a couple pins, and you're supposed to use a pin spanner. Well, what I've got is, this is actually an OTC tool for Toyota cams. Now, I don't work on Toyotas or cams, really, for that matter. But this does a pretty good job as a pin spanner. So I have my pins in here. The 9mm pins are what I'm using. And we're going to engage the pins in the blind nut, in the gland nut here, and give this a whack with a hammer and see if we can't break it loose. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to put a mark on here so I can see if I'm moving it. Just a mark with a Sharpie is all. Let's just do, like, put a mark here and a mark here. That's it. Just a reference mark, just to see if I'm actually moving the thing. Now, when I hit this, the camera's going to bounce around. I'm sorry about that, but that's all we got. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. I moved it already. So this thing was not terribly tight. Oh, a little tool fell out here. This is a clumsy way of getting this done. Certainly there's got to be a better way. Let me try it. I'm kind of doing this left-handed, so let me switch around here so I can. I got paper towels everywhere. This is kind of a messy endeavor. Now when I take this off, fluid is going to come out of there. Now I'm binding up here, so I got to take this nut loose. So when this gland nut comes off, I have a bucket right here at my feet. I'm going to try to get as much fluid as I can into that bucket. What could possibly go wrong? This is clumsy as hell. It's moving. Where's my... There. Wow. It did move, but I can hear the fluid gurgling around in there. What to do, what to do. All right, so we moved over to the vise. I'm thinking that'll put me in a better position so that cylinder isn't flopping around so much. Let's... Now I want to see how much fluid. That's a lot of fluid. That's not that much. All right, let's move you back. Get you better. All right, let's pull that thing out of there. There's no cylinder seal on here. No piston seal, rather. Ha! I was expecting to see a piston seal. All right. So what do we got to do to get that piston off of there? There appears to be a set screw right there. Pull that set screw out, that piston comes off, and Bob's your uncle. Let's get that set screw out here. Let me point it to you so you can see what... I'm assuming that's metric. Let's see what we have here. What size is that? Huh. So that is a 3, and a 3 is too small. And that's a 4, and a 4 is too big. Maybe this isn't metric. We're kind of playing what size is it whack-a-mole here. So what we got? We got a 9/64. Fits it perfectly. Like hell it does. Is that a Torx? No. So a 9/64 turns in there. 5/32. Doesn't fit. Isn't that great? It's not metric, it's not standard. What the hell? All right, let's try the 4mm again. Boy, that's ridiculous. Well, I mean, we could take this off, clean the paint off of this end of it, take it off that way. May end up doing that instead. This is dumb that you have this stupid pin in here that's neither standard nor metric. It's somewhere in between. Also seems to be at a really weird angle. It's almost like someone put that in there after the fact. Yeah, that is not straight. What is going on with this thing? Yeah, it's definitely not 9/64. Wow. This kind of has me scratching my head. Like, what the hell is it? Let me go get another wrench set. This is approaching a level of ridiculousness that I'm not sure how to deal with. 'Cause that is that's 3mm, different set, doesn't work. And here's a 4mm, right? Yes. This does not seem to be metric or standard. None of these fit. None of these fit. So I think what we're going to have to do is clean the paint off of this end and take the gland nut off that way. I don't know what else to do here. All right, got my face shield on, and we're just going to take the paint off of this side. I think that went well. Let me refresh my work surface here. This thing was dirty, dirty, dirty. Clean enough. There we go, nice and clean. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but the reason why this is an option is because there's a little step right here. There's a difference in diameter between here and here. There's a step right here. So this gland nut can come off this way. Okay? And here we go. Just like that. So we're going to wipe this clean. So this cylinder, the rod, looks real clean. You know, I don't see any nicks. That was a hair. I don't see any nicks or scratches or anything in it. So that's real clean. Okay. So now we're going to get to, let's set this over here. So this is the seal kit that you get from Schwing. It even gives you directions. Can you even see this? I hope so. Yeah, you can see this. All right. So when you go to your Schwing parts webpage to order your parts for the seal kit for this cylinder, it shows you two available parts for this cylinder. One is the seal kit, and one is a whole new cylinder. So your only option is to try the seal kit first, and if that doesn't work, replace the cylinder. So let's do the seal kit first. And since there is no piston, when I was surprised to see that there was no piston seal at all. That's why there's no piston seal in the seal kit. And that's probably because when this particular circuit is functioning, it's actually pretty violent in the machine. It goes bang, bang, bang. The application of fluid is fast. It's not like a slower process like you think of an excavator moving its arm kind of slowly and gracefully. It's a fairly violent process, so that's probably why they built it this way. Anyway, you get 6 seals in the kit, and it even tells you where they go. But here they are. Here's the 6 seals. You get backup rings, X rings, O rings, bunch of rings. All right, so the first one we're going to dig out is the one that's in here, this bluish one. That's this guy. Now we want to make sure that the lip of the seal goes towards the oil. So it's going to sit in there like that. Okay, so let's get that seal out. I wish I had that cool tool that kind of compresses the seal, deforms the seal a little bit so you can get it in there. I don't have it though. Anti-extrusion ring goes on here. These are just things that sort of make sure that the O-ring doesn't squeeze out under high pressure. And then here's the O-ring that goes on the oil side of the anti-extrusion ring. All right. That's it. It has been resealed. Let me get some grease on here so we can put it back together. Put some grease on her. On it, I shouldn't say. That was a little vulgar, wasn't it? Now we put the nut on like that, right? Or does it go like that? No, it goes like that. I'm kidding, I know. Nice and easy. That's why we put grease on it. Let me give that a little plastic mallet. There we go. I see no rubber chunks came off of it. That's a good thing. Now, why did you guys let me put that on there backwards? Man. Yeah, that's on there backwards. Good Lord. Thought you guys had my back on this one. It's a good thing I had a lot of grease on there. Let's put a little more. It goes this way. There we go. Clean it up. And let's put this back over here. Get my grease out of the way. All right. Are we recording? Yes, we are. All right. Welcome back. I'm almost out of time, so I'm not going to be able to show you this machine running. But what I did want to talk about for a minute is how the hell this cylinder even works. So as you can see, we have these holes. There's holes cross-drilled all around here, and we have a hole here. And of course, this hole connects with these four. So you may wonder, if fluid can flow freely from one side of the piston to the other, how the hell does this even work? On some cylinders where you have a piston and a seal, Fluid exerts pressure on one side of the cylinder, is held back by the seal as the piston moves in and out of the bore, and then fluid is transferred to the other side of the cylinder, and again held back by the seal or seals. With this cylinder, this is a single acting cylinder, and not all single acting cylinders are like this. But what Schwing has done, in order to eliminate wear and tear on this seal, they sort of changed the way they made these cylinders. They're not the only ones who do this. This is not an uncommon method of construction on these cylinders. But in a single acting cylinder that's drilled like this, you may wonder, how the hell does this even work? If you have the same pressure that exists on both sides of this piston, how the hell is a piston even moving? Well, it has to do with surface area. There's much more surface area on the face of this piston than there is over here, because this is all displaced by the rod. So all the work is done over here, and that pushes the piston out. Now this is a fairly inefficient way of turning hydraulic energy into motion, because there's a lot of loss here. I think they're doing this, I think they built it this way because, did I mention this earlier? The way this cylinder actuates is pretty violent. It doesn't move very smoothly. It moves harshly, abruptly, bang, 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 back and forth all day long. So that kind of bang, bang, bang would be pretty rough on a seal. If you can imagine a seal that would be living here just moving back and forth all day long, having strong, sudden forces applied and then unapplied, that's a little harsh. That's a lot to ask of any seal. So they built it this way to eliminate the seal here. Okay, so that's how this cylinder works. This whole thing is filled with the same amount of pressure. There's no pressure that exists on one side of the cylinder that doesn't exist. One side of the piston that doesn't exist on the other side. But this moves solely by surface area. There's more surface area on the face of the piston. So anyhow, let's put it back in the bore. We're going to clean this out. This was kind of dirty. And that bore looks pretty clean, so we're not going to worry about that. But we're going to put a little grease on this seal, this little O-ring here, just to make that go in a little bit easier. And put this back together. Can you see this? Let's get you over here. There we go. Where's my little pin spanner? Because I got to get going. This is a Sunday, and I'm not supposed to be here at work on a Sunday, but I have places to go, things to do. So I'm going to sign off here, and I may do a little follow-up on this guy to show you that it's working. In fact, we'll see about that. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that, but I will try. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all be good to each other. Yeah, I know. I said I wasn't going to run it. You guys know that I'm a stinking liar. Let's fire it up. You see what I mean by violent process? Anyway, I think we're good. We're all sealed up. Thanks for watching.